In the heart of the Dutch Golden Age, when Amsterdam was a hive of commerce, art, and power, a man named Rembrandt van Rijn decided to defy all the norms of his time and create a painting that not only portrayed a military company, but captured the very essence of life itself: movement, light, ambition, and the human soul in tension. Thus was born The Night Watch, a work as monumental in size as in meaning, and so charged with mystery that almost 4 centuries later, it continues to be one of the most studied, debated, and admired pieces in the world. It was painted in the year 1642, when Rembrandt was at the height of his fame, commissioned by the civic militia of Captain Frans Banning Koch, who together with his lieutenant Willem van Rijnberch wanted a collective portrait that would immortalize their company. What they expected was a formal painting, with the officers arranged in rows, proudly displaying their uniforms like the traditional group portraits that dominated Dutch art. But Rembrandt, with his rebellious spirit and his obsession with emotional truth, broke every rule. Instead of painting a static group, he decided to capture a living moment, a scene in full movement, an instant suspended between preparation and action, where life itself seems to burst from the canvas. The title by which we know this painting today, The Night Watch, is actually the result of a historical mistake. For centuries, the surface of the canvas darkened with dust, candle smoke, and successive layers of varnish, giving the impression that the scene took place at night. But when it was restored in the 20th century, the discovery astonished the world. The scene takes place in full daylight. Rembrandt had used shadow not as a literal representation of night, but as a dramatic device, a language of light and darkness to guide the viewer's eye, to create a theatrical stage where the figures move between clarity and mystery. The play of contrasts, which he mastered like no one else, gave rise to one of the greatest misunderstandings and at the same time one of the most poetic names in art. The composition is a whirlwind of energy. At the center stands Captain Banning Koch, dressed in black, with a red sash crossing his chest, a symbol of authority, and beside him the Lieutenant van Rijnberch, glowing in a resplendent yellow costume that seems to radiate light. Their hands and gestures give the order to advance, while behind them, a crowd of soldiers, children, musicians, and anonymous figures fills the space with dynamism. Everything vibrates. Nothing stands still. The viewer feels that the characters could step out of the canvas at any moment, that the scene is breathing. That vitality was something unheard of. Until then, no painter had dared to break the ceremonial rigidity of group portraits. Rembrandt turned a simple civic representation into a theater of souls, where every gesture and every shadow tells a story. And among all those faces, one in particular attracts the gaze with almost supernatural force, that of a little girl dressed in gold, illuminated by a mysterious light that seems to emanate from within her. She carries no weapon, holds no rank, and yet she is the brightest point in the painting. At her belt hangs a dead rooster, emblem of the Musketeers' Company, and in her hand she holds a golden goblet. Her presence, in the midst of a military scene, has puzzled critics and historians for centuries. Some interpret her as an allegorical symbol of the militia, the embodiment of its spirit. Others see in her a spiritual figure, the innocence that illuminates the violence of the world. But there are deeper and more enigmatic readings. The rooster, in addition to representing the company's emblem, alludes to the crowing of dawn and to the biblical memory of Peter denying Christ before the cock crowed. In this sense, the girl could symbolize betrayal, the moral fragility that always accompanies power. In her golden splendor, she is the warning that all glory has its shadow. Rembrandt was a master at transforming the ordinary into revelation. For him, painting was a mirror of the soul, and in The Night Watch, he did not merely portray soldiers but moods, invisible tensions, an order that seems about to break. Every figure is carefully placed, not by hierarchy, but by dramatic function. The light, entering from the left, cuts across the canvas like an arrow, illuminating some faces and leaving others in shadow, creating a visual rhythm that guides the viewer as if through choreography. Darkness is not the absence of light. It is another character, a symbol of what is unseen, of what hides behind the facade of discipline and military pride. Few know that the Night Watch was met with division. Many members of the militia, seeing themselves relegated to the background or barely visible, felt offended. They had paid to be portrayed and expected to see themselves in honorable positions, clearly recognizable. But Rembrandt did not paint for money. He painted for truth. His artistic vision did not bow to wealth or vanity. He painted the movement of a group, not the vanities of individuals. That decision cost him dearly. His reputation began to deteriorate, commissions diminished, and what we now consider a masterpiece was, for his contemporaries, an offense to decorum. Over the centuries, the painting suffered as much as its creator. In the 18th century, when it was moved to Amsterdam City Hall, the enormous canvas was cut down to fit a smaller wall. Valuable parts of the original composition were lost, especially along the edges, where more soldiers and details emphasized the sense of motion. Later, in the 20th century, it was attacked several times. A man slashed it in 1975, and years later, another doused it with acid. Each restoration was an act of devotion, an attempt to repair not only the physical damage, but to return the work its spirit. Thanks to the meticulous labor of restorers and experts, the painting still stands, majestic, resisting the passage of time as a testimony to both the fragility and the eternity of art. Yet behind the painting lies more than history. The Night Watch is also a portrait of Rembrandt's soul. By the time he completed it, he had reached fame, but soon he would know ruin. His wife Saskia would die, his fortune would crumble, and his later years would be marked by solitude and loss. In his later canvases, one feels the same darkness that surrounds Captain Coke's soldiers, a dense, almost spiritual darkness that does not destroy but reveals. In that tension between light and shadow, between order and chaos, between the visible and the hidden, lies the true signature of the artist. Many have seen in this painting a visual treatise on human duality. On one side, duty, discipline, collective strength. On the other, disorder, emotion, life refusing to be contained. Rembrandt's chiaroscuro is not mere technique, it is philosophy. In his world, light does not defeat darkness. It needs it. Shadow is not the enemy of clarity. It is its origin. In every face, in every weapon and reflection, that paradox breathes humanity forever divided between its desire for greatness and its inevitable vulnerability. In recent years, digital restorations have revealed details once hidden, fingerprints, spontaneous strokes, corrections made along the way. It has been discovered that Rembrandt modified the positions of some characters several times, as if seeking a balance that was not visual but emotional. It has also been revealed that he used an innovative technique, applying layers of paint of different densities to create effects of motion and depth impossible in his time. Every millimeter of the canvas is a lesson in light. But beyond technique, what moves the viewer of the Night Watch is its inner life. Every character seems to have his own story. The drummer who beats without looking, the soldier loading his musket, the barking dog, the radiant girl. It is an entire world in miniature, a society in motion. Rembrandt achieved what no portraitist before him had done, to transform a local scene into a universal symbol. And so, the painting that was once misunderstood became the heart of the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, the most treasured jewel of Dutch painting. Thousands stop before it, and without realizing it, repeat the gesture the artist imagined, to observe humanity from the shadows, to discover in each darkness a spark of truth. The Night Watch is not merely a portrait of a militia, it is a meditation on time, power, memory, and light. It reminds us that every civilization, no matter how brilliant it appears, is made of chiaroscuro, and that Rembrandt's genius was to show us that in that blend of light and shadow lies the deepest beauty of the human being. Over the centuries, the painting has acquired an almost mystical aura. It has been interpreted as an allegory of the passage of life, a metaphor for order dissolving, a reflection of the soul struggling between duty and freedom. And perhaps that is its true greatness. It does not simply represent a moment of the past, but confronts us with the eternal. Because in every glance, in every gesture, in every inch of that dark and luminous canvas, lies the question that never ceases to echo within us. What light guides us in the midst of the night? Rembrandt did not answer it, but he painted it. The Night Watch, more than a painting, is a visual symphony where light becomes the protagonist and time seems suspended in an infinite breath. Whoever stands before it feels not that he is observing a scene, but that the scene is observing him, absorbing him into that whirlwind of figures emerging and sinking into shadow. Rembrandt, with his absolute command of chiaroscuro, achieved what no artist had done before to turn painting into a form of spiritual movement, where light not only illuminates bodies but reveals the consciousness of men. In that dance of light and darkness, nothing is accidental. Every face, every gesture, every glimmer has a purpose. Captain Banning Kulk extends his hand in the act of giving an order. Yet his gesture also seems an invitation to look beyond the surface. His firm gaze embodies leadership, but also the burden of responsibility that weighs upon those who guide others. Beside him, Lieutenant Van Ruyten glows with an almost celestial radiance, his figure bathed in gold as a symbol of youth, ambition, and fleeting glory. Behind them, the soldiers advance in apparent disorder, some attentive, others distracted, each a prisoner of his own small story within the greater narrative that contains them. The viewer's eye, however, always returns to the enigmatic figure of the Golden Girl. In that luminous and silent being resides the soul of the painting. She is a symbol that does not belong to the real world, but to the world of the spirit. She represents innocence illuminating chaos, awareness surviving amidst noise, purity shining even in the most turbulent environments. The rooster hanging from her belt, emblem of the militia, may also be seen as an offering, a sacrifice, a sign that every human institution, no matter how noble it appears, is built upon the fragility of life. Rembrandt, with his deep biblical sensitivity, knew that behind every banner and every uniform lies a soul that bleeds. The contrast between the girl's radiance and the shadow enveloping the others creates an almost mystical tension. The light does not fall from an external source. It seems to arise from her as if she embodied the divine essence guiding man through darkness. She is the symbol of revelation in a world of shadows. Some scholars have suggested that the girl represents the artist's inner light, the inspiration that gives meaning to chaos. Others have seen in her a figure of wisdom or truth, concepts that in Baroque philosophy were often depicted as luminous female forms surrounded by warriors blinded by action. The structure of the painting is so complex that its reading could extend endlessly. Diagonals cross the composition, figures overlap, planes intertwine in an invisible choreography. There is no fixed center, because light shifts, breathing with the characters. This technique, revolutionary for its time, anticipates what centuries later cinema and photography would achieve, capturing the instant in motion, the fleetingness of reality. Rembrandt did not paint poses, he painted souls in transit. And indeed, The Night Watch is not a work about war or glory. It is a reflection on the human condition. The parade of musketeers becomes a metaphor for man's journey through life. Each fulfills a role, obeys an order, moves toward an unknown destiny, never fully understanding the purpose. In that sense, the painting transcends its historical context. It no longer speaks only of the citizens of 17th century Amsterdam, but of all of us, who march between light and shadow seeking meaning. Rembrandt, who knew fame and then ruin, poured into this work his deepest vision of the world. He knew that life was a succession of brief lights within a long darkness. His mastery of shadow was not a stylistic choice. It was a philosophy. In his universe, light is neither abundant nor constant. It appears only to reveal what is essential, to point to hidden truth. Every gleam in the night watch is a thought. Every darkness, a silence. As centuries passed, the painting has been the object of countless theories. Some have wanted to see in it a political allegory, the rise of civic power in a Holland freeing itself from Spanish rule. Others interpret it as a moral allegory about vanity and the transience of glory. The truth is that Rembrandt, instead of painting heroes, painted men. None of the faces in the painting is idealized. There are wrinkles, shadows, twisted expressions. Each figure seems trapped between greatness and doubt. That raw realism, almost theatrical, was another reason for its initial rejection. In an age of flattering portraits, Rembrandt showed naked truth. The painting's fate is, in itself, a novel. From its original installation in the Militia Hall, it has survived fires, relocations, wars, and attacks. In 1811, when Napoleon invaded the Netherlands, it was moved for protection. During the Second World War, it was hidden in an underground bunker to prevent its destruction by bombs. And in recent times, it has been the focus of a monumental restoration called Operation Night Watch, combining science, art, and technology to preserve its grandeur. Each intervention has revealed new secrets, hidden pigments, details invisible to the human eye, strokes proving the master's spontaneous genius. That restoration has uncovered what centuries had concealed. It was discovered that Rembrandt used ground bone powder and precious minerals in some areas to achieve unique reflections, and that the texture of the canvas was manipulated to create depth. Nothing was accidental. The artist sought for light not merely to be painted, but to seem to emanate from the very substance. Thus his technique became almost alchemical, the union of the tangible and the spiritual, the physical and the invisible. And so, the Night Watch is not only the testament of a genius, but a metaphor for the human soul. In it, darkness does not destroy, but gives form. Light is not triumph, but revelation. The Golden Girl is not a decorative figure, but the eternal symbol of inner truth, guiding even those who march without direction. The men of Captain Cope do not know they are being watched by the centuries. They act, they prepare, they obey. But Rembrandt immortalized them in that suspended instant where history and eternity touch. Today, those who contemplate the painting in the Rijksmuseum feel the same as the artist intended almost 400 years ago: the immortal beauty of imperfection, the poetry of chaos, the divine spark shining within shadow. The Night Watch does not represent a real night, but the night of the soul, that space of uncertainty where each one searches for his own light. And in that sense, the painting has not aged. It continues to speak with the same force, reminding us that true creation does not happen in clarity, but in mystery. Rembrandt died poor, forgotten, never imagining that the work once misunderstood would become the symbol of his genius and of the power of art itself. His body was buried in a common grave, but his spirit still breathes within that immense canvas where light and darkness converse eternally. The Night Watch is his resurrection, the echo of a mind that understood that the human soul does not shine despite the darkness, but because of it. Every stroke still pulses, as if the painter himself from some invisible corner of the canvas were still watching us with the same silence with which he painted his truth. Because in the end, what Rembrandt left us was not a portrait of soldiers, but a mirror of the soul.